ladies and gentlemen, and truth seekers. Welcome to another episode of The Straight Shooters, the show in which we give our honest opinion and analysis, give you some recommendations regarding various forms of entertainment, movies, music, maybe books down the road, who knows. My name is Todd Braley.
And I'm Itai.
And we are both indie filmmakers and lovers of many different forms of arts and entertainment. So today we're going to be talking about music. Now, as you can see in the background right back here, and also I'll bring it up on my screen, we're going to be talking about the 1986 album, debut album from Cinderella, Night Songs. So if you're an old heavy metal band freak or a new heavy metal band freak, because I know there are some young people out there that do like this kind of music. So and Ty and I were just talking a little bit before we got the show rolling here. We were talking a little bit about the different you don't realize exactly how much this album was actually really liked, because Cinderella didn't, they were big, but they were big maybe more or less on MTV, and that this album went triple platinum, which means it sold like
this is 1986 worth mentioning.
Yeah. So it went triple platinum and had three hit singles that were all on the radio, but none of them charted. What did you say they charted at?
The highest one hit the top 20 and got to 13.
Okay. So
no top teners or anything like that, but still the album sold like crazy.
Yeah, but if you watched MTV, that the music videos for that thing were on all the time. I mean, they were constantly in like the top 10 videos of the day for God, it seemed like 6 or 8 months. It was just you every time you turn around, either Shake Me, Nobody's Fool, Somebody Save Me were playing on MTV at that point. And so what we're going to do today,
young people today don't realize how much of a gauge MTV was, for any music. If you were a hit on MTV, you were a hit. It sold like hotcakes.
Yep, absolutely. So
we're old fuckers. We know that.
Yeah, we are. We're really old. Old too.
We were around when MTV was playing.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
day.
They had song. Actually, I should say when they had music on MTV.
Yeah. So when you see those memes that said, thanks MTV for 14 years of great music videos,
that's us.
That was us. That was us. So what we're going to do here is we're going to run down our favorite songs, favorite 10 songs of the from the album Night Songs. And so
it's a 10 track album. We'll just rank them in the order as far as, from worst to best for each of us. So let's get ready for a bit of a cat fight.
All right. Yep. Because the gloves come on. Ding ding. So for me,
we should have worn our mullets today.
Oh yeah, I left my wig in the other room, so
mine's in the boot of the car.
On the hood of the car?
In the boot of the car.
On the boot of the car. Okay, I thought you said it was on the hood of the car. I was like going, "Whoa, dude!"
No, it's in the boot. I take it with me everywhere, just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
Need to whip it out. Yeah.
Well, starting off now, for me, the album, in listening to this album again, I listen to Cinderella often, and it's I have it on the hard drive. I've got a Dodge van that has a hard drive you can put CDs in and burn the discs onto the main hard drive in the van. And so I have the Cinderella albums in the van and I listen to them. I got Cinderella on in my van at least, once a week for a few hours when I'm driving around. And for me, I always loved this album. Obviously, it's a debut album, and the fact that it really kicked them into, I mean, it was like during that time, once Motley Crue and Rat got signed, it was like every metal band that had ever played the Sunset Strip was getting signed, especially after Rat's Round and Round, blew up on mainstream radio when it was playing on the top 40 stations and stuff like that. Everybody was looking for the next Motley Crue or the next Rat. And I remember buying this album and taking it home and just being honestly right out of the gate, because the first song on the Night Songs album is the song Night Songs. If that was me, I love this song, but I always thought it was a weird choice to have something that's got so many, good hard driving songs on it, to start off with something that was slower. So I always thought it was a weird choice to open such an awesome, hard rocking, hard driving album with Night Songs. It's not my favorite. In fact, it's number 10 on my list. So, that's not to say I don't like the song. I think everything about it. I love, the opening with just, you hear the wind blowing in the background and the drumming and that starts in the slide guitar that starts it off. But at the same time, if it was me, I would have probably put something like Shake Me as the first song, because it was just one of those hard driving,
energy. Yeah.
It had a lot of energy. Now, Night Songs is my number 10, but it's also one that I will find myself that if I have it on in the car and I'm, on driving around during the day, and I know I'm not going to be, it's not one that I won't skip. I'll turn it up fairly loud and I will play it. But
it's not one that you would skip, you mean? Yeah.
No, I won't skip it. But
exactly, yeah.
But it was just, for me, when I bought the album, it was just, to me, a really weird choice. More often than not.
Which dropped it down your list a bit, yeah?
I dropped it down on my list a lot. I mean, it's number 10.
Well, like we were talking earlier, for me, from about 5 to 10, maybe 4 to 10, it's very difficult to separate them. And in the same situation, this is your 10th song, 10th out of 10. And you still like it, and that's the thing for me as well. Like, I like all the songs on this; they're all good. The one thing that stood out for me with that,
there's no filler songs on this album at all.
Yeah, just great sort of fun. People call it glam metal, but you and I both agree that it's more glam rock. I like all the songs on this. I can, if I hear them away from the album, I will rock out to each and every one of them, as I would if I listen to the full album as well. But, when you listen to the full album and you rank them, it's a little bit different. But yeah, it's not my 10th. My 10th is one we talked about earlier as well before we started recording, and that's In From the Outside. I do like it, but it still ended up, at the bottom of the list, because someone had to be there. I had to pick one to go last, and it ended up being that one. There's a few songs here that are a little bit sort of by the numbers, for that genre, which is fine by me. I like by the numbers in this kind of thing, So sometimes there would be like a great guitar solo or something like that, and that would bump a song up for me, And I didn't find enough in this one to bump it above the other tracks. But, if you ask me again in a few days and I listen to the album, it might end up in number 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a bit like that, And the interesting thing about this track is, as we were talking, the band toured this album with Bon Jovi on the Slippery When Wet tour. And as you were telling me, tell everybody what you told me about this song.
In From the Outside, the very first verse is actually John Bon Jovi sings the first verse, although it sounds a lot like Tom Kiefer, not belting out in his gravelly, raspy voice. But I really listened to it again when I was listening to it this morning, and I was like, yep, there it is. It's also John Bon Jovi not belting out. So because him and Kiefer's kind of had a similar voice style when they weren't going and belting out. You know how Kiefer, he didn't have that raspy, gravelly metal voice until he went, when he started reaching for it. And so you can hear that it's John Bon Jovi. So yeah, take a listen to that from In From the Outside. That was actually my number 7. So
yeah, I didn't notice that at all. That it was John Bon Jovi there.
Well, he's actually listed on
the
inside of the album too, on the song list. Where
yeah, I listened to it online, so I didn't really look at that. But it's funny because when you said it, it sort of clicked back that when I was listening, I thought it doesn't sound much like Kiefer. It sounds a little bit different. I was like, maybe it's a different band member, but I never thought John Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
Because he sings maybe a bit more like he sang in the early Bon Jovi albums, or his sort of solo album that he had before Bon Jovi became Bon Jovi. Songs like Runaway and sort of the older stuff, before Slippery When Wet. So it kind of made sense when you said it, but it didn't click for me, when I was listening. So yeah, and again, because it's a fairly by the numbers track, I thought, I'll drop it to number 10. And it was your number 7, which is funny because your number 10 was Night Songs, which is my number 6.
Gotcha.
So we almost flip-flopped those two,
Just about. Yeah. And then next up was my number 9 was the very last track on the album, which is Back Home Again. I like this song. I like the lyrics. It's kind of one of those, hey, I'm out on the road, I'm coming home kind of song, which, coming home, there's actually that song that's on The Long Cold Winter. And I honestly will have to say that is probably my favorite Cinderella tune.
Great song.
Which is on the Long Cold Winter soundtrack. And then along with The More Things Change. And that's on Heartbreak Station.
Stay the same. Yeah.
Yep. The more things change, the more they stay the same. So it was a good song to end the album with. And it's still, the thing that was cool about it is it's still kind of a good hard driving song. And if you really listen to all of the songs on this album, you can hear those blues and those old rock blues, Skynyrd, Molly Hatchet, stuff like that, trying to seep through a little bit. And it was kind of, it hadn't quite hit yet for them. Long Cold Winter is when all of their really, they were able to take more control of their well, I mean, when you go triple platinum, your next album, you could pretty much do whatever you want. So, because they're from the South, that influence on their second album just seeps right in. It's right there. I mean, it's not even a question anymore.
Yeah, Heartbreak Station too. It's like in hindsight we can see it. Maybe at the time when this debuted, it wouldn't have clicked.
Right.
But it's like it evokes images for some reason for me when I listen to this album, Night Songs, of rather than that sort of glam rock, something similar to the cover. I'm actually seeing a train, something about a train ride, and that's that sort of bluesy thing. And it's in there, it's almost subliminal,
Right.
But that's what made them one of my favorite bands after this album, because they went fully into that sort of bluesy sound. And
Right.
Long Cold Winter is my favorite album of theirs. It's just amazing.
Well,
but yeah,
what was your number 9?
This track, well, you had Back Home Again at number 9.
Mm-hmm.
We were almost in full agreement on that one. It's my number 8, so very close. My number 9 is Once Around the Ride.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It's
go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's a great track. There was something kind of maybe a little bit of similarity between that one and Back Home Again for me, or In From the Outside. All of those three, they're kind of interchangeable as far as a top 10. I liked all of them, but they definitely sort of fit within the theme of the album really well. And yeah, I just enjoyed them. Just great songs to sort of bop along to, and
well, I mean, Once Around
that sort of feel of the album.
Once Around the Ride was the one thing I really like about that song, and that was actually my number 5. So to me, that was one of those cool. That's a top down driving out in the desert. It's kind of the opposite of what we'll say Peaceful Easy Feeling or something like was for the Eagles. This is like that hard driving. It's still out in the desert. You're still kind of feeling, this being that the song is basically you only live once, so buckle down, do it right, and live fast, die young, and leave a good looking corpse. So that's
it's the same desert drive, but doing it in a different age.
Yep, doing it definitely at a different age.
Peaceful, Easy Feeling to Once Around the Ride. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And the lead guitar on that one is pretty amazing.
It is.
The guitar player, Jeff LaBar, who sadly had passed away here a few months ago, but he knew how to play, man. And it was always cool because something that I didn't really realize until after I got a hold of a live DVD of the band, of a concert that they did in Detroit, that him and Tom Kiefer really, I mean, they switched off and shared the lead guitar stuff more often than not. And so it's and back then it was not a regular thing for the singer to also be the guitar player, because usually, you got your lead singers and maybe they'd pick up the guitar once in a while and strum or something. Vince Neil did that a few times.
Yeah, what they call like a rhythm guitar.
Yeah. No, Tom Kiefer can play. Him and Jeff LaBar are like top of the pops on that one, man, because they both are shred the fucking guitar, man. I mean, anything when it comes to those leads. And sometimes if you're listening, if you're not watching any of the videos, but you're listening to the album, you can hear who's playing what. You can hear that change, when, especially on the track that's not on this album, but it's on Heartbreak Station, like on The More Things Change. You can hear the switch from when Tom Kiefer's playing his part of it to where Jeff picks it up and carries on and takes the lead back into the vocals and that. So it's pretty amazing to watch those guys play. It's
Jeff LaBar. I mean, if we're mentioning that Tom Kiefer, also played the guitar, Jeff LaBar also sang some of the vocals on this, as did the bass player Eric Brittingham. Interesting thing about this one is that Fred Coury, who was their drummer, he actually didn't play on this album. He joined after. The drums for this one were done by Jody Cortez. But the one thing about Tom Kiefer and how talented he is, he plays guitar and lead vocals. He also plays all the piano tracks on this one. So
yep. Which
he was,
that's
pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I saw them live. Not in their heyday, of course, but I did get to see them. They had they had this thing that they used to do every year called Rock Jam, and it was 3 days, and it was, we've had Kiss and Poison and Motley Crue and Heart, Cinderella, Alice Cooper. So it's like 3 days of some of the best, old school rock bands. And I was lucky enough to see them live. Unfortunately, Kiefer's his falsetto voice, because of he got those nodules on his throat, on his vocal cords, and his screaming voice wasn't really there anymore. He was kind of singing in a falsetto to be able to kind of compensate for that. But regardless, it wasn't like he was singing off key or anything like that. He just didn't have that old school screaming voice. But the fucking show was off the chain, man. It was pretty amazing to watch. And they even did some of those songs that they originally, when they did what's the one off of Heartbreak Station? Not The More Things Change. What was their big one?
Don't know what you got till it's gone.
No, Shelter Me. We all need a little shelter. Yeah, because that one, I mean, there was several musicians. Yeah. So that one had a lot of different musicians on there, playing saxophone, and you had the background, the female background singers, and the piano, and all this stuff going on at once. They did that song live with just the four of them, and just shredded that shit. It was pretty amazing to watch. And they're cool guys too. Myself and my youngest daughter Brienne got to do a meet and greet with them, and they were just so excited to see my daughter. I'll put that picture up of us.
I was gonna say you should put that picture up.
Yeah, well, I'll put that picture up. And we got back there, and Jeff LaBar looked at Brienne. He's like, because I bought her a Cinderella shirt, not at the concert, but I got it for her before we went. And she had her shirt on, and dude, I mean, I had that live video, and then I had another video that was a 20th Century Fox Masters, and it had all of their music videos on it from the first two albums. And they and Brienne, just like when she found out, because that was her first concert, when she found out she was going to get to go to this concert, she wanted everything. She wanted to listen. So I got out my CDs that I had. She took my CDs, she took the DVDs, and she was in her room every waking moment. She was in her room listening to Cinderella, because she wanted to make sure that she had all of the songs down. And then she would be like, Dad, did you hear this song? And obviously, and she, Nobody's Fool was kind of like her favorite. And so when we got to the concert, when we got to meet him, Jeff LaBar looks, and he's like, a new fan. How cool is this? Come over here. And he's like putting his hand up and high-fived her and everything. And the whole band was just like big smiles, And so Tom Kiefer asked her, he says, so what's your name? It's Brienne. And he goes, what's your favorite Cinderella song, Brienne? She goes, well, I really like Shake Me, but I think I have to say that Nobody's Fool is probably at the top of my list. And they just laughed, and they just thought that was cool. And so we took the picture, and as it is with most meet and greets, it's like, hurry up, hi, shake hands, thanks a lot, appreciate you, and you move on. Well, we were out, we had VIP seats, And so we were only like 3 rows from the front. And during Nobody's Fool, I had Brienne sitting on my shoulder, and during the chorus, when he's singing Nobody's Fool, Kiefer found Brienne in the audience. And so he was pointing at her and he goes, "I'm not your fool." And then Brienne's like, "Nobody's fool." So it was just really, really cool. And then he said her name over the microphone too. "Sing it, Brienne." So that was a pretty cool day. Yeah, I'm tearing up a little bit. It was pretty cool. It was awesome.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
it was
an awesome
story.
So,
anyway, so my number 8 was Push Push. And Push Push is like the first, it's first to last song.
It's a bit higher on mine.
Is it a bit higher on yours? I mean, it was the 80s.
It's number 5. Number 5.
Well, metal bands, I mean, they were singing the songs about sex. And of course, this one was no exception. You know, if you read the lyrics, you know, I need a little push, push. And basically the song is from the woman's perspective.
Yeah.
And it was, she said,
need a little.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but you still get that blues feel. You can hear that blues influence in the background. And this was another one of those songs that I can turn up in the car and just play it loud. So that's where that one was on my list. And I just, you know, the leads, again, the lead guitar on those, man, is just so it's clean, it's smooth, and it's not one of those that you're kind of like, yeah, well, that one's okay. But
I get exactly what you're saying.
One. You know,
because I was telling you, I listened to the album again last night and this morning. And last night when I listened to it and I rated them, it was my number 8. And then this morning I listened to it again and I'm like, am I dropping the song down a bit because it's about sex and kind of juvenile? It's a great track. I was like, nah, I'm just gonna look at the music, you know, the feel of it. It's such a great rocking track. I'm like, yeah, it's going up. Yeah, number 5.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then of course, number 7 was In From the Outside, and we've already talked about that one. My number 6, unless did you have anything else you wanted to say about In From the Outside?
I'll give you my number 7 first.
Because I apologize. Go ahead. Yeah, your number 7.
Let's see, 10, 9, 8. 7. My number 7 is actually the first one that was one of the singles, and that's Somebody Save Me. That's my number 7.
Okay, that's my number 6.
So oh, good, because I thought maybe it's just me, because a lot of people would put it in their sort of top 3, top 5, because it was a single. I thought there were songs here that weren't singles but were slightly better.
Gotcha.
But I do like it. It's a great track. You know,
what is it about it that you liked? And I'll tell you what I liked about it.
I think musically, I'm a lyrics guy. I like, you know, getting into song lyrics and stuff. This one, while the subject really kind of was interesting, the lyrics didn't hit me that hard straight away. So, you know, I was sort of more concentrating on, you know, the melody, the you know, the guitars, the way, what I like out of good rock songs. And because Kiefer's voice was always great to me. I like that kind of almost like a squealing kind of, you know, I don't know why I love that, you know. Hitting all those falsettos and, you know, all in the right places.
Well, there weren't too many people doing that then.
There's no exception. Oh, but there were a lot. It's just they were slightly different. His had more like grit to it.
Not like, I always felt, because, you know, you had Brittany Fox, the lead singer for Brittany Fox sounded a lot like that, but his was less controlled. And even I felt.
Yeah, even Motley Crue, you know, Vince Neil, somewhere along those lines. And bands like Kingdom Come, also, you know, falsetto.
Right.
It was very big. The ones who did it slightly differently were bands like, and they were around longer, like earlier, Scorpions. You know, it's all in that voice, but that's a completely different voice. To me, one of the greats. But with Kiefer, I think what maybe stopped him from being one of the great voices, you know, sort of all time, was the fact that they only released 4 albums. Like you said, you know, because of his vocal cords and that whole situation, the longevity wasn't there. But geez, they released 4 great albums. So it's like, still one of my favorite voices. And I think that in Long Cold Winter, it was most sort of got that center stage. It was more like the voice and the music and the style, everything sort of came together. In this debut album, because it's all that sort of cock rock music, you know, it's great, but it overshadows the vocals sometimes, or a little bit. Even the ballads that they do are more music than vocals in a way. You know, it's more about the
more music driven
and the feel of it. Yeah, and later on, his voice just really came to the forefront. But you know, I still love every song on this. It was just so much fun listening to it.
Yeah, I remember hearing somebody Save Me, and I remember the first time I heard it, I couldn't really understand the lyrics, and then when I finally got the album, which wasn't long after the first time I heard that, I had the vinyl. Okay, we didn't. CDs were just starting to come to the consciousness of the world at that point. But on the inner sleeve, they had the lyrics, and I remember reading the lyrics and thinking to myself, God, what a fucking depressing song. You know, lyrically, you know, it's just, you know, it's about growing up and getting older, and you know, am I going to have to be responsible? And it was feeling a lot at the time, like, you know, it was one of those songs that once I learned the lyrics, it really kind of spoke to me, going, you know what? Again, it was another one of those, you know, live fast, die young kind of situations. And I was, growing up, I was not that person, you know, I was not that person that wanted to do what my parents wanted me to do, which was go be a union carpenter or get some kind of trade or do something like that. I was like, no, bullshit. I mean, when I came out of my shell in between my 11th, 12th grade year, I just blew up, you know, and nothing. I was gonna have fun. I was going to live my life. I was going to be a DJ, which I became, and was a DJ for almost 33 years. But I was gonna have fun. I wanted to experience things. I wanted to go out and party. And somebody once asked me what it was like being a DJ in the 80s. And I said it was the closest thing to being a fucking rock star that you could get without playing a guitar. And yeah, I was, you know, I used to get out my guitar. I had pictures. Maybe I'll put a couple of those up of when I was a DJ. I had this electric guitar, and I would stand up on my DJ booth, and you know, I wasn't allowed to play over the sound system, but you know, I knew the chords, and so I lip sank and stood up there, and you know, girls Googled over me, and you know, not so much now, but we all look back at those days, don't we, and go, God damn, you know, it was like I had hair. I wasn't 50 pounds overweight and all that, but it was just,
I remember hair.
Yeah, me too. But
I had it halfway down my back.
Yeah, mine before my hair, actually, I let my hair grow out after I turned, because I wasn't allowed to have really super long hair. I had to keep it about shoulder length when I was DJing. So but yeah, I mean, it was just loved that I'm being responsible, but I'm not, kind of thing. And that's a lot of what that song, Somebody Save Me, kind of meant to me. And that was my number 6. So
yeah. So we're not far on that one.
No, because isn't it your number 5?
My number 7.
No, that was your number 7. Okay, that's right. So what was your number 6?
Push was, well, my number 6, I think we discussed already. That's Night Songs. And my number 5, we've also discussed, which is Push.
Gotcha.
So that's my bottom 5.
Well, my 6. Number 5 was Once Around the Ride. So
what was your number 6 again? Sorry.
Number 6 was Somebody Save Me.
That's right. That's
And then my number 5 was Once Around the Ride. So we kind of discussed that one already.
Do you notice though we have the same top 4? I don't know about the order, but it's the same songs.
Possibly, yeah. So my number 4 was Nothing for Nothing, or Nothing for Nothing.
It's my number 2.
Oh, yeah. Again, it's another one of those songs.
I bumped it up this morning.
Oh, did you bump it up this morning? You changed? Yeah, I listened to everything this morning right after I got out of bed. So for me, I didn't move anything around. I kept what I kept, just because, I mean, honestly, this is kind of like, this wasn't an order. My order that these are in are basically, I think, have always been my order for these songs. It's never changed.
For me, this could change in 5 minutes. It could change in 5 days, because the songs here are very, very close. It's not that there's no standouts. There are, but the quality is there, 1 through to 10.
Song.
So yeah. So initially, this one ended up sort of just outside my top 5, and I'm listening to it again this morning, and I'm like, why is it so low? Nothing for nothing. I'm like, no, it's better than this one. It's better than this one. It's better than this one. Okay, number 2. So
yeah, I really like it's a grinding, hard driving tune. And that one you can hear the rock influence or the blues influence in it, and that's another one that is really good, really loud.
Awesome guitar work in this one.
Yep.
Catchy chorus. Just
the hooks.
It's the one that after listening to the whole album, I found myself, bopping to.
Yeah. Well, the hooks in every one of these albums are amazing. There's not one of them that you get to the chorus and or even the hook at the beginning. I mean, when you get the opening guitar riffs or bass riffs, whatever hits first on whatever song, it's just, you're sucked in. You don't go, I'm going to move the needle. And it's wow, fuck. Okay. I got to hear the song. So, so Nothing for Nothing was my number 4.
Yes. Some of these songs take maybe, about 30 seconds to get into, but once you get into them, it's just like, I can't skip any of this.
No.
And there's at least 5 or 6 songs here that for this subgenre, just have this anthemic feel to them. I could see, them being played live, all of the audience singing along. It's just, it's really, really great stuff.
Absolutely. What was
my number 4?
Number 4?
My number 4 is Hell on Wheels.
Yeah, I love that song. That's my number 3. What? Okay,
it is great.
Why did you love that song?
What's not to love? It's very similar to what I said about Nothing for Nothing. It's got so much energy, and again the guitars, and it's just an anthemic kind of song. It's one of those that I can see myself just sort of singing along to. Of course, bopping my head, hurting my neck, that kind of thing, because I'm not as young as I used to be. But it was a lot of fun, listening to this stuff. And this one was in my top 4 and stayed in my top 4. I didn't move it. It's a great song.
Yeah, Hell on Wheels.
And we're not far, you have it at 3, I have it at 4.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I remember hearing this song when I was younger, and the first thing that popped into my head, and it did it again this morning when I was listening to it, it's literally like reminiscent of old Molly Hatchet. You know, it sounded like the beginning of Beating the Odds, you know, and it starts off that way. Obviously, it doesn't stay that way, but you know that so it just really it jumps in. It's another one of those hooks that just goes and yanks you in, you know, and I just love the it's kind of has that Thin Lizzy the boys are back in town lyrics going on with it, that, you know, this
with
is
a bit
who we
more
are.
rock to it.
Yeah, with a lot. Well, I mean, it was more about the lyrics, just because it was like the boys are back in town. With this one, it was basically, look, we're Cinderella, we're coming to your town, we're gonna blowing through and we're gonna blow you away. And that's basically what the song is about.
You were thinking Thin Lizzy. For me, it was a bit Motley Crue-ish in that regard, you know, just we're coming in to burn down the town and keep going. Hell on Wheels, you know, makes sense.
The Thin Lizzy, you know, the boys are back in town. I mean, that whole song, that's probably one of my favorite, my top 20 rock songs of all time is Boys Are Back in Town. I just love the lyrics. I love, you know, the story behind it. And that's kind of lyrically, Hell on Wheels kind of reminded me of that. So
to me, the Boys Are Back in Town is you know, an awesome song. It's just a slightly different subgenre, and maybe today I see it more in that subgenre than I used to. It used to be more in that sort of rock. Today I see it more as a pop rock song. Catchy as hell.
yeah, definitely. It has great hooks in it. Great hooks, and the lead for it is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we're down to number 2 and number 1. So your number.
Hang on. We haven't done my number 3 yet.
Oh, your number 3. Go ahead. My bad.
Shake Me.
Oh, that's your number 3. Ooh.
Which is in your top 2.
Yes, it is. Okay, so what is it about Shake Me that it wound up number 3 on your list?
Shake Me was the other one that was a single. Yeah.
Yep.
It's one of those, I could straight away tell, you know, why it was released as a single. It was, if I'm not wrong, it was their second highest rating single out of the 3. If I'm not wrong, I know Somebody Save Me did okay, but probably not as high. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, it was this the second highest sort of rating song, I think. Again, it's just classic Cinderella, you know, in that type of style, you know, that is just this album, you know. It's the song that I have at number 1, which, you know, some people who know the album can already work out, is to me slightly different, or can be moved to another album of theirs maybe. But the 9 songs from Shake Me down to 10, they all belong on this album. You know, very, very much that sort of style. I don't think they can be moved to other albums of theirs.
No.
No.
This album,
it's the best out of that style, I think.
Yeah.
In this one.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I'm not going to tell you what my number 1 is yet, but I'll tell you. I'll do it. Shake Me.
Tell me what your number 2 is.
My number 2 was Nobody's Fool.
Oh, okay. So we flip-flopped them. It's my number 1.
Yeah, that to me, the Nobody's Fool was just kind of like the antithesis of the rock ballad. You know, I mean, they had been done. You know, Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue was kind of like the beginning. other bands didn't pick up their rock ballads until maybe their second album. Motley Crue, well, let me see, that was on their third album, or let me see, Theater of Pain.
Yeah.
Was their third album. It wasn't Shout at the Devil, because they didn't have any rock ballads on that one. But from a rock ballad standpoint, that was just, I didn't hear about Cinderella through anything. It was MTV that kind of introduced them. I think I said that, but it was just that music video for that. It was almost just because they followed the whole Cinderella storyline kind of thing. So starting with Shake Me, and then they actually have, if you every once in a while, MTV would play the two songs back to back, because they actually, when they made the music videos, they created it to literally just go from one to the other. And if you buy that, a story. Yeah. Right. So, but they rarely played them together, but when they did, and then when I bought that 20th Century Fox Masters DVD, it has the two of them together, like they intended. So I don't know. And the lyrics for me at that time, also there was a point in my life where I kind of let people walk on me, and that song was just kind of like a little bit of an anthem for me, probably for other people, but it was a little bit of an anthem that I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, fuck you guys, I'm not going to let it. And literally it was when I was listening to the song, probably like the third or fourth time, that I went, you know what, fuck you guys, nobody's going to walk on me again. And I kind of, from that point, it's kind of where I became a straight shooter. That
it's your origin story.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. So it's just one of those songs that said it's not okay for people to shit on you, so don't let them. And I really like that song. That's a crank, that's a turn up in the car and make your ears bleed song. For sure.
Yeah, it was the biggest hit. Hitting number 13 on the Billboard charts. As I was sort of hinting at before, it's the only song from this album that I can see being on one of their other albums. I can see it sort of migrating over, whereas I can't see any of the other songs doing that. All of the other songs are very sort of thematic to this album, to this style, but Nobody's Fool is almost on another level. I mean, that ballads tended to do well or better in the charts, but if you released an album that has a ballad that wasn't released as a single, or was released as a single and didn't do very well, you would know that it's pretty crap. So this one was fantastic. Yeah,
I don't know, but there weren't too many rock ballads at that time, man, that were being released that were crap. I mean, I bought a CD. True. I bought a CD that had that's called it's from the Now That's What I Call Music people that make those kind of compilation discs, and it's called Now That's What I Call Rock Ballads. And it's got Warrant and Def Leppard and Journey and Cinderella.
Well, some of these were later, but yeah.
Well,
obviously, the rock ballads were from the beginning of time when it comes to rock coming around. But you're right about debut albums for a lot of these types of sort of glam rock and hair metal bands. Not a lot of ballads on debut albums. Everybody wanted to show, hey, we can rock out. We're a rock band. We're not mainstream, although the whole concept was mainstream anyway. But, mainstream is not necessarily a dirty word in that regard. So,
right.
I think the band that really perfected, the rock ballads were the Scorpions.
Yes.
They had a lot of them, and oh my God, so good. So, this song spoke to me more. Oh, love that song. Yeah. But with Nobody's Fool, it wasn't a love song.
No, it wasn't. Usually, most of those, you're right. Most of those rock ballads were love songs. Again, I just mentioned "Still Loving You" by the Scorpions. So it's
and I think to me there's a special place for ballads that are not love songs. One of my favorites is Faster Pussycat, House of Pain.
House of Pain. God, yeah, that song. You know what? That song is also on that album, that CD that I bought. So
to me, it's one of the best rock ballads of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a love song, which is rare, but I enjoy those a lot more because, it's not about a soppy love story, a song for my girl, blah, 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 for all the girls out there to go nuts about, and guys would buy it so they can dedicate it to their girlfriends and all of that. I like the ones that were about something different.
That's you and me, man. That's you and me.
Hey, we all did that.
And we all did that. Yes, we did.
Guilty. Many a mixtape were put together by me.
Yes, they were. Yes, I know. I did them too.
So, and later mixed, CDs. And we still called it mixtape, even though it was on a CD.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah. We funnily enough, I think we had the privilege of being around when things went from vinyl to cassettes to well, I'm not going to mention laser discs or anything like that, but to CDs, not the the stuff that didn't take.
Betamax.
But the things that did, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, I still love VHS, and it's just a shame that it's not as durable. But yeah, it's just such a crazy time. But yeah, for me, ballads that were not love songs had I give them extra points maybe, because they were more interesting and had more depth to them. House of Pain is it's such a dark song. It's just so and this one was not exactly like as dark, but still had that depth. And I love that about this song. And I with rock albums, I try not to go with ballads for my favorite, but
you can't
straight shooters,
for you. Yep. For you, that's all good, man. It's all good.
It's my favorite. Yeah.
Well, my number one was Shake Me. Again, that's the first song that I ever heard by Cinderella. It was I was just getting into doing the DJ thing at nightclubs, and when you do nightclub DJing, it's way different, and it was way different back in the 80s. There was a huge mix of music. It wasn't just dance or hip hop or R&B music. I mean, the nightclubs back in the 80s were mixing everything. I mean, we were playing everything from Hey Baby by Ted Nugent to Janet Jackson's Control to Ready for the World's Oh Sheila, and you would play those things. You'd play sets. So you'd play your rock set, you'd play Shook Me All Night Long, Living on a Prayer, Shake Me, Hey Baby by Ted Nugent, and just all these rock songs. And then you'd play your hip hop was just really coming into play at that point. And you'd play, Run DMC and Rockmaster, or what were they called? Rockmaster or Grandmaster Flash. White Flash, Lines, Grandmaster Flash, White Lines, and things like that. So there was a lot of mixing up the genres when you DJ back then. And, you know, Shake Me was something I played. We played that a lot. And the lyrics, obviously, I mean, it was during the excess. I mean, the mid 80s was the beginning of the excess of sex and drugs and rock and roll. And I just, the one thing that I remember seeing the first time I saw the music video was when the bass player and the guitar player, Jeff, God, how can I forget the fucking bass players? Eric and Jeff would like take their guitars and grab the necks and just shove it so hard, and that fucking thing would spin around and boom. And I looked and I go, that is the coolest fucking thing I have ever seen. Did you try it? I did.
I would get hit on the head.
And got knocked the fuck out when I tried it.
Yeah, I hit myself on the back of the head every time.
Oh my God. I couldn't figure out how the fuck they did it. Well, and then when we saw them live out here in Colorado with my daughter, they were doing it. And I was like, I guess I'm just doing, I did it wrong. I only did it twice, because I hit myself on the head twice. The first time I knocked myself out for about a minute. And then the other time, I didn't shove it hard enough, so it just kind of went clunk. So never did it again.
It's good you didn't try it before we started recording.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? No kidding. No, I gave that up.
So everybody, I am the Straight Shooters because Todd knocked himself the fuck out, and yeah, we'll be back next week with.
We were going to talk about the Cinderella album, but Todd is face down in his garage right now with a guitar stuck on the back of his head. So,
but the one thing we can take from this episode is that Brianne, your daughter, she has good taste, because we all ended up with very similar top threes. So
yep. Her. Yeah, I still remember that day. I'm not going to relive the whole story again for you, but it was one of the coolest times and with my
I heard the story twice, and I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was pretty cool. And then we actually got to meet, we did the Magic City Comic-Con, and we got to meet 3 of the cast from Rocky Horror Picture Show, and she was a huge fan of that movie by then too. And we actually got to watch Rocky Horror Picture Show with Brad and Magenta and God, I always forget the girl with the top hat. I forget the actress's name, or even the actor or the character's name, but it was I've had a lot of really cool celebrity introductions with my younger daughter Brianne that have all been really something else, things to remember. So, well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. There's our first album review, or our album top 10 songs from Cinderella's Night Songs from 1986.
Ranking and discussion of night songs
and recommendation. So if you haven't heard this album,
I'm sure we'll revisit Cinderella at a different point and do some of the other ones, because geez,
we have to talk about Long Cold Winter, and we have to talk about Heartbreak Station. I just wish we could play the damn songs here. We wouldn't get anything done, but so
we just sit there and have a listening session.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if anybody out there has recommendations for albums that they'd like us to listen to, or bands that maybe they would like us to check out that maybe we haven't heard before, on the at the email below, make sure that you just send us those recommendations, or put them in the comments, regardless on what platform that you listen or watch this podcast on. Is it a podcast or is it a show? I don't know. What are we calling it? You kind of didn't want to call it a podcast, but
we choose not to specify.
Okay.
It is what it is. You watch it, you like it, keep watching it, tell people about it. Hit us up with your requests, whatever you want. We'll try to get as many of them done as possible.
And another button right here from my kid, Jaden Braley at the dork spot. Mark sucks from the movie Empire Records. Thanks again for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Straight Shooters.
See you soon.